DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us out there, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one approach, one book, a bunch of books, but one book with a specific name. And this daily masterclass, all of this under one umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why you need to repeat yourself. Now, before I get into explaining this subject and getting into the meat and potatoes of our material, I want to remind you that I have a text line in which I want you to text me if you hear something here today that really hits you, something that reminds you of a topic or an idea that maybe you forgot about, or something new that you haven't heard before and you want to share it with me. I want you to text me at 305-384-6894. Again, if you hear something that really hits you, send me a text, 305-384-6894. Again, the topic here today is why you need to repeat yourself. And you just heard me repeat myself actually twice, because if you have listened to this show before, I give you that introduction every single time. You can tell me the 4 principles of working your game: discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative, because I say it every single time. You know my number, my text number, even if you haven't texted me yet, because I keep repeating it, 305-384-6894. People ask me sometimes about content. I had somebody ask this question actually in a Clubhouse room not too long ago, and part of what led to this topic. They were saying something like, Dre, I'm writing a book, and I want to know if I should take some material that is in my book and share that content on my social media as a way to get people excited about the book. Their challenge was, if I do that, then people, my audience, might say, well, look, I already heard so many things that you shared that came out of the book. Why do I even need to buy the book? I basically already got it from following you on Instagram or reading you on Twitter or watching you on YouTube. Why should I even get the book? Because you already shared everything that's in it. This is the challenge that the author had. Nobody in their audience actually said this. This is the challenge that the author had. And my answer to the question, should they share content from their whatever, their book, course, etc., on social media? The answer is absolutely yes. You 100% should share content from your paid material, whether that's a $10 book, whether it's a $1,000 course. You should share some of that content on your social media, i.e. for free, because of what I'm going to talk about here today. Let's get into our points. Again, the topic is why you need to repeat yourself, the value of repeating yourself and repeating your message over and over and over again. The first one is this concept called the Bikini Principle. And I heard this from a guy named Sean D'Souza. He has a show called The 3-Hour Vacation. Really good show where he talks about business and just a lot of not only tactical stuff, but also mental stuff. And one of the things that he explained, I think he said this in one of his articles, it wasn't even on the show, but he said the reason why bikinis are such popular clothing is because they show a lot, but they keep just a little bit concealed. And that's the value of them, that they show you a whole bunch and you can get a really good feel of everything that's going on, but you can't see quite everything. That's the value of the bikini. And it works the exact same way with our content and with our material. And that little bit, because that little bit that we don't see, that's what's drawing all the attention. That's the reason everybody's looking. I mean, they can see everything that they can see, but it's the part that we can't see that gets everybody to pay attention to the person, the woman wearing the bikini. Same with your content. Everything that I say in my books, everything that I say in any of my courses, I've said all those things before. I've said them here on this show. I've said them in interviews. I said them on YouTube. I said them in articles. Anything that I say in any of my books, any of my courses has been said somewhere before that was quote unquote for free. But what is the value what is the value of the book or the course or the whatever that I'm going to charge for? The value is 2 things. Number one, I'm going to take all those things that I've shared, quote unquote, for free before, and I'm going to compile them and organize them. Number one, I'm organizing them. And number 2, you got the 5%, the part that was covered up by the bikini that I didn't say. That's going to be in there as well. And it's all put together in an organized, coherent way. And that's what you pay for. Any of you who's ever signed up for an online course, you ever hired a coach, you ever purchased a book, that's what you pay for. All right, the person who wrote that book or created that course, they didn't just give you a whole bunch of new stuff they never said before. You've heard them say these things before. It's just they put them into an organized way, and that's worth something. It's worth something because it saves us the time. If somebody says, I mean, look at somebody like myself. I have 2,000 damn near episodes of this show, 8,000 videos on YouTube, another 4,000 or 5,000 articles on my website. I could tell you if I put out a course, everything that I say in that course has been said somewhere, somehow, at some point. How are you going to find it? The work and time that it would take you to find all that material and put it in order and make it make sense is not worth more. Actually, it will cost you rather a lot more than it will cost you to just get signed up for the course for whatever amount of dollars I want to sell it for, or the book, or however much I want to sell it to you, because I did all the organizing for you. Plus, is that 5% that you didn't know about that's getting added in there. That's what you're paying for. So anytime that you are offering something as a thought leader or as a subject matter expert, is that little bit that you didn't show behind the bikini and everything else that people already saw. That's the reason that they're signing up. All right, always. And what does this have to do with repeating yourself? We're going to get to that in point number 2, but that's exactly why you're paying for it. Point number 2, today's topic, once again, is why you need to repeat yourself. So the question somebody may ask, well, if I share so much, if I had that bikini on, I'm showing so much, will people still buy my calendar? I mean, they already saw me in the bikini. They already saw me on Instagram. How can a supermodel sell a bathing suit bikini calendar if they already showed themselves in all their Instagram photos? Will people still buy it? The answer is absolutely people will still buy it. They'll actually buy more of it because you were sharing. And why is this? I'll tell you why. It's the same reason that you go to a concert of your favorite musician. I mean, why do you go to a concert to hear Kanye West or Taylor Swift or Dua Lipa? Why do you go to their show? I mean, you already know all the songs. You already got all the music on your phone. You can stream it for free as much as you want. Not for free, but you pay monthly. You stream it as much as you want. On top of that, you're not paying per listen. So the artist actually is not making much money from the streaming platforms. You go to the show, and it's not because of your benevolence. You want to make sure the artist is making money off their work. That's not the reason that you go. The reason that you go for the show is because you're paying for the stuff that you already know. You go because you want to hear the same songs again. You already know all the songs. You go because you want to hear them do it again, even though you already know the words. You're not paying for the stuff that you don't know. You're paying for the stuff that you do know and hoping that the new stuff, the stuff that you didn't already know, is just as good. So if that artist, if Beyonce decides she wants to debut a new song at her concert, she's going to play 50 songs. Out of that 50, 49 are going to be songs you already know. She might debut one new song, and you're gambling that one new song she plays is going to be just as good as all the other 49 that you already know. But you're really going for the 49 that you know about. You're not going for anything new. You're going for the stuff that you know. And this is part of the game. When you go to a Beyonce show or a Dua Lipa show, for the most part, they're not debuting their new music there because you don't know it well enough. Or you didn't pay for the new stuff. You pay for the old stuff. They play the hits so that you can sing along with them and you can dance along with what they're doing. And this is all part of the hustle. And this is why you're happy to go to that show and pay for it, because you're getting the things that you already know about. So all of us, and I talked about this when I did the episode on preaching to the choir. Any of you who's ever been to church, or any of you who goes to any type of house of worship, I talked about this in episode 1507, preaching to the choir. What does preaching to the choir mean? It means giving people information that they already agree with, that they already know, it's already in the direction that they're already looking. Why even give it to them? I mean, they already pretty much know the information. It's because that's the reason why the choir shows up. Why do you go to church every Sunday? You already know the book. Or you got the Bible at home. Why you don't need to go to church to read the Bible? It's right there in your house. You go to church on the internet these days. Why go? The reason you go is because you already know exactly what the preacher's going to talk about. They're going to mention a certain chapter. They could send you a text and say, hey, read Abraham chapter 3, verse 2. You could do that from home. Why you need to go to church and get dressed up and do all the song and dance for that? You're going because you want to be preached to with a message that you already know exactly what you're getting. Human beings, we are creatures of habit. We like getting the same stuff over and over again. We like things that we can predict. We like things that are duplicatable and predictable, and we know exactly how they're going to go and exactly what's going to happen. We like surprises when it's something that we want. We don't like any other kind of surprise. So preaching to a choir is a good idea. So any content creators who are listening to me right now, one of the things that you must do, this is not something that you should do, this is something that you must do if you want to sell a book, if you want to sell a course, if you want to sell a whatever else it is out there that you want to sell. You want to sell a concert like a musician, you got to give them that material over and over again. I mean, think about it. If you go to a show with Travis Scott How many times have you listened? The people who go to the Travis Scott concert, they pay $200 for a ticket and go to the concert, they have probably streamed his music more than anybody else in town. So Travis Scott does a concert in Miami. The people who go to the concert have probably listened to Travis Scott more than all the people who didn't go. So they are the biggest consumers of the material, and they already know everything that he's going to do, and they go anyway. How does that work? Because we like things that are duplicatable. We like things that happen over and over and over again, and we will pay for something that is duplicatable and reliable and dependable and predictable. We will pay for it. You do it every time you go to a concert. You do it when you turn on a TV show or a podcast or somebody that you like. You already know how they're going to talk. You already have an idea of what they're going to talk about. You might not know exactly what they're going to say, but you got an idea of their angle. You know their approach. You know how they feel about certain things. You know how they're going to play off the co-host, and the co-host is going to say this, and it's going to be back and forth, and this is going to happen, and this is going to be funny. You already know exactly what their approach is. You know their whole MO, and you keep coming back. Why? Because we're human. So you want to repeat yourself over and over again. Again, you go to the concert because you want to sing along, not because you're looking for something new. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why you need to repeat yourself. Understand that nobody is thinking about you the way that you think about you. This is for the creators out there. For the musicians, the authors, the course creators, the influencers. Nobody's thinking about you the way you think about you. Nobody's thinking about you as much as you think about you. Therefore, the stuff that you think is redundant and you think you're saying it over and over again and you think everybody already heard it, most of them did not hear it the first time you said it or the 30th time that you said it. And most of them don't even remember it. Even if they did hear you say it once or twice, they don't remember hearing you say it. Human beings, all of us, me and you, we have really hard heads. All right, the worst place to, if you ever get in a physical altercation with another person, the worst place to hit them is right in the forehead, because that's the strongest part of the skull. All right, it's very hard. All right, we have hard heads literally and metaphorically. And what I mean in a metaphorical sense, I'm not telling you to go beat anybody up, is that we have to hear things more than once in order for it to get through to us. They say in sales that most sales occur after the 7th contact, and it may be more than 7 nowadays. It's probably gotten bigger. It might be like the 8th, 9th, or the 12th contact with a person. The person has to be hit with a certain message 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 times before they, first of all, register that the message is the message, and secondly, before they even consider taking action on it. So this third point, that nobody's thinking about you or your stuff as much or the way that you're thinking about it, this is your reminder. All right, you know that you said it 50 times, but the person in your audience who was there, each one of the first 50 times, won't hear it until you say it the 51st time. The content in the stories probably sound redundant to you because you said them so many times you didn't have to think about it. But to everyone else, they're either new or they liked it so much that they want to hear you say it again. Like, yeah, I heard you talk about that, Dre, but I want you to talk about it again. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've had someone reach out to me and say, Dre, could you make a video on XYZ, whatever topic they're asking me to make a video about, talk about something. Now, you're talking to a person who has over 15,000 pieces of content on the internet. Is barely any topic that anybody ever asked me to make content about that I haven't already talked about at some point. And usually I can direct you right to it. And I have responded over the years. I would say something like, well, yeah, I already did. And I send them a link to a previously published article or episode or video or something like that. And how many times, I want you to just guess percentage-wise, how many times did that same person respond and say something like, well, yeah, I know about that one, Dre, but I want you to make a new one. Now, this usually happens with the YouTube audience. It doesn't happen too often with the podcast masterclass audience, but with the YouTube audience, it happens all the time. People say, especially in the basketball days, I was like, can you make a video on how to do a crossover? I say, oh, yeah, here's one right here. I did it 5 years ago. And they say, well, yeah, I know, but I want you to make a new updated one. I'm like, the rules ain't changed. The move ain't changed. It's the same move. They're like, yeah, I know, but I just want you to make a new one. This is what people like. This is just human nature. This has nothing to do with basketball players or the age of people or anything like that. It's human nature. We want to hear the same stuff over and over again. Any of you is fans of comedy shows or comedians? Who's your favorite comedian? You probably know that your favorite stand-up routine that they did. Would you pay to see them do that stand-up routine again if they were coming to town tomorrow? Of course you would. Why? Because you already know the joke. All right. The funny part is the fact that you know the joke is coming. What you're paying for is not the joke. You're paying for the anticipation leading up to the joke because you know it's coming. You pay for the anticipation leading up to the Dua Lipa concert because you know the songs she's going to do. And you're just waiting for her to do that one song that you love so you can dance to it. That's why you paid. That's what you pay for. Even though you can listen to that song at home for free. Quote unquote free. So the things that are redundant to you, to everyone else, they're either new because they didn't hear you the first 30 times that you did it. They weren't paying attention because they were focusing on their own lives. Or they heard you, but they like it so much that they want to hear you do it again and they'll pay for you to do it again. People need to hear things more than once to remember them and or to act on them. Very rarely do we act on something the first time we hear it. It would be ideal if everybody did that, but most of the time we don't. How many times do you need to hear something or see something or think about something before you actually did it? Probably somewhere between 5 and 30, 50, maybe 100. How many times have you listened to your favorite album or your favorite songs on your preferred streaming platform? Probably more times than you can count. How many times have you read your favorite book? If you have kids or you have an audience, how many times have you said the same thing over and over again? And people will keep coming back. And there's a reason why they keep coming back. The reason is we're human beings. Humans, duplicatable, repeatable, predictable. We like that. We like it so much we'll pay for it. Recapping today's class, which is why you need to repeat yourself. I had some author asking, should I take content from my book or content from my course and share it on social media because it might, cannibalize my sales if I'm sharing too much of it. People feel like they already got the gist of what I'm going to be selling. The answer is yes, you should, and you should not be worried about people thinking you have given them everything from your book, therefore they don't need the book. Anybody who gives you that conclusion wasn't going to buy the book in the first place. Point number 1, the Bikini Principle. Bikinis work, and they are as valuable as they are. I'm talking about the actual clothing, the bikini. Is as valuable as it is because it shows a lot, but it keeps a little bit concealed. And that little bit that is concealed is what draws all the attention. It's the same thing with your content. So everything that I say in my books or everything that I talk about in my courses, I've either said it in other content, I've said it in an interview, a video, a podcast, but the book or the course, first of all, puts it all together in a coherent way. Plus, I'm giving you 5% that isn't out there. That's the 5% that you can't see behind the bikini, and that's what you pay for. Point number 2. Someone asked, well, if I share a lot of stuff from my paid stuff, will people still buy my paid stuff? The answer is yes, they will. Why? It's the same reason that you go to the concert of your favorite musician. You already know all their songs. You go because you want to hear the same stuff all over again. You want them to play the hits, and that's the reason why you pay $150 for the ticket. You're paying for the stuff that you do know, and you're hoping that any new stuff, if there is new stuff, is just as good as the other stuff. And even if it's not, 95% of the stuff is the stuff that you already know, so you're happy either way. And then when you do go to a musical concert, for example, they don't debut new music at a concert. They play you the stuff that they know that you already like. Point number 3. No one is thinking about you the way you're thinking about you, and no one thinks about you nearly as much as you think about you. So the content and stories that you put out may sound redundant to you. It may be redundant to me to say discipline is showing up every day, do the work, confidence, put yourself out there boldly and authentically, mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expect to achieve is yet to be achieved, and personal initiative to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. It may seem redundant to me because I keep saying it over and over again. There's somebody listening to this here today who's hearing that for the first time. It's somebody who's heard it 50 times, and this is the first time they really thought about it. Why? Because we're humans and we got hard heads, and we are much more focused on ourselves than we are on anybody else. People need to hear things more than once to remember them, and even more than that to act on it. How many times have you listened to your favorite album or your favorite song? Thousands of times. And if that artist comes to town and you can afford a ticket and your schedule is open, you're going, even though you know everything that they're going to do. If you have kids, you have an audience, how many times you say the same things? More than you can count. And guess what? They keep coming back. There's a reason for that. All this said, I want you to text me if you find that there was something that I said here today that really hit you, really made it a difference on you. Send me a text, 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Let me know the most valuable thing you got from today's episode and work on your game. Dre all day.